r/ask Reddit. What's a skill that everyone should have? Spatial awareness. Don't stand in the middle of a sidewalk, right in front of a doorway, or leave your shopping cart blocking an entire aisle. Or at least don't throw a temper tantrum when someone informs you that you're in the way. I feel so bad for that woman's family having to witness that meltdown. Before living in Chicago, I used to try to squeeze by and not disturb the other person. Now I just say beep beep, coming through. You would be surprised how often people jump to get out of the way. Don't block the exit door of a store either. You can put away your receipt or bag box your stuff elsewhere. Basic first aid. Alongside cooking and basic shelter construction, and you can potentially live off those 3 things alone. Or how to recognize the most deadly mental disorders or diseases with preventable causes. Being able to swim. You don't need to be any good at it, but you should feel safe around bodies of water. I've never tried swimming where I can't touch the ground of a beach or any open water, and when I tried it on a pool like 6 feet and above, I don't float easily, so I'm really scared on thinking about being already in a body of water. I've learned to swim enough that I am confident I won't drown if I can get out of the water within 5 minutes. I don't feel safe surrounded by a body of water, boating, and I never feel safe swimming around people I don't know or trust. Most reasonable people will have a life jacket on while boating anyway. If you're on a moving boat, there is no reason not to wear one. I'm a pretty decent swimmer, but you won't catch me in a large body of water without a life vest on. Basic understanding of taxes and financials. Everyone's left speechless. Especially budgeting. Budgeting for sure. It's really not that hard, honestly. If not budgeting, at least track spending. Knowing when it's better to keep one's mouth shut. Ugh, I'm terrible at this. I always feel like sharing what I know or just breaking the silence. I have the opposite problem. It takes a lot of mental preparation for me to start talking, even if I already know what I'm supposed to say. I have 2 modes. Not being able to shut the hell up or being so uncomfortable I say about 3 words per hour. You'd think I'd be able to figure out how to balance these and meet somewhere in the middle, but nope. Learn how to apologize. It's okay to be wrong sometimes, and a gesture to rectify the situation after saying sorry goes a long way. This is important for people who use Reddit. People refuse to accept that they are wrong and just start arguing for no reason. You messed up. Shit happens. Learn from it. Move on. I prefer the double down till I die method. Keeps me from losing face, but also makes me lose friends. Win-win. Also, if you're going to apologize, don't pepper the apology with excuses and justifications of what you did wrong. Just a sorry and leave it at that. Cooking. Learning how to learn makes learning other things much easier. This is huge. I can't even explain it, but it's like a self-awakening. Most people don't know that they don't know how to learn because they're still getting by in life with minor or little to no issues. This was huge for me. I honestly got lucky when I got to my first job and had a fantastic mentor who actually demonstrated this so well. You could explain the hardwiring of a complicated electric circuit and he could probably learn the whole thing just listening to you. Now I know that's just an example, but his ability to listen and process information and just dissect a situation or lab process and think 3 moves ahead on what would happen next or what the likely outcome would be was so incredible. And it made me objectively analyze myself, and it really helped me to better myself in that area. Learning how to learn is a huge life skill. Learn how to read your paycheck. Understand what taxes are taken out, what insurances are taken out, what you are getting paid for, and keep track of your hours or salary. Make sure you are being paid what you should be. What do you do if you find you're being paid less than you should be? Even if it's only $5 to $10 a week. Just tell them, small or big business, they either don't want to get on trouble themselves, or after the awkwardness you'll be back paid and everything will be back to normal. It's not okay to feel bad for asking what you're meant to get. I see it like this. If you missed 5 or 10 minutes of work, they'd be on your ass in a heartbeat. So it's only fair. If parents can teach their kids critical thinking, cooking, basic economy and how to not be an a-hole, they'll do alright. The rest is just nice to have. Man, I suck as a dad. Critical thinking. The ability to critically analyze a situation is imperative for navigating personal and professional relationships. This and self-reflection I'd add. This. If you know people with no self-awareness, you probably have a desire to punch them regularly. Empathy. Rare shit. Laundry. You just put everything in on cold, throw a Tide Pod in there, and push the button. That's it, right? That's how I do it. Sure, I know what should go on warm, but sorting it out is more trouble than it's worth when cold is just as good. The only exception is towels, which I wash and dry on hot. How to Google something. Could you give a quick rundown on a better way to Google? This sounds useful. How to Google isn't a science, it's an art. You can't explain the method, because it's about understanding humanity through the eyes of an algorithm. Ah yes, looking at a page of search results and pretty much knowing which ones are going to be useful without even clicking on them. It's definitely an art. Communication skills. It's not possible without practice, but people don't want to practice because of people who complains about the lack of skill people have. Communication skills can be practiced simply by having conversations. Even if you're really awkward and weird, there's probably at least someone who will hold a conversation with you. And it's kind of like doing a sport. Not everyone is good at it, and if you have something like anxiety or asthma in sports case, then it's harder for you than it is for others. But not impossible. Chewing with a closed mouth. Doing taxes. Really should be a class for it in college or even high school. My school has this. We had to fill out a tax form, write checks, all sorts of stuff like that. Changing a flat tire on your car and knowing how to jump a dead battery. I have to 100% agree with this. I'm a mechanic by trade. The number of people that couldn't even point out where their spare tire tools even are is scary. I have a 2-year-old son, and eventually before he's allowed to drive he is going to demonstrate that he can change a tire. He absolutely doesn't need to know how to fix cars like I do. But I'll be damned if I'm being woken up in the middle of the night or called out of work cause he's got a flat tire. I had to do this a few winters ago. It was around 2 AM, super cold, freezing rain, shitty roads, and my tire blew. I didn't know how to change it. Called my dad and he found me. He popped the trunk where the spare and tools were and pulled out the jumper cables and beat the ever-living shit out of me on the side of the road. Then he showed me how to change a tire. So that's something I can do on my own now. Sewing. Especially if you buy cheap clothes on the internet. Just being able to reattach buttons keeps you from throwing a shirt out when a few fall off. But I've even gone as far as to buy a sewing machine so I can tailor my own clothes to fit me, since slim fit shirts are hard to come by, and the ones I do find lack proper shoulder width. This has made owning clothing so much easier and less of a pain in the ass to try to buy. To use a ducking turn signal. Sewing and basic cooking. Being able to read body language. Learns to read body language. If someone has their arms crossed, it means they are not interested in what you're saying. Go to interview and both managers are sitting with their arms folded before I start talking. Well, duck. Basic gun safety. No firearm discharge should be an accident. For me, Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts were treasure troves of important life skills. I find people who can't tie knots, swim, cook a meal over an open fire, perform basic first aid, and I realize what a great opportunity that organization was for me growing up. Common sense, but I could be asking for too much. Not having an opinion on something they know nothing about. Everyone should be able to listen to criticism and take useful bits and apply it to their lives, even if the criticism is mean. Respect without a doubt. Thinking under pressure. Typing. Everyone using a computer should know how to type on a keyboard without looking at the keys. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.